Hi there, Glocal citizens. Welcome back to the podcast that inspires a borderless mindset around manifesting a new world. I am your host, Florence Adu, coming to you from the last days of this winter 2024-25. So much weather. And we can't necessarily say that it is climate or change, but I'm sure there's a little bit to it. But you know, I do this bi-continental life because I just don't like winter. So we are going to be happy to fly away and move into other beautiful sunny skies and projects that hopefully don't intersect with a lot of the mayhem that seems to be erupting in these United States. And so I'm so happy to be speaking with my guest today because it really invigorates me to go back. So we're in our 5th year. And as I've mentioned, we'll be doing a lot of Where Are They Now episodes, just really recapturing a lot of the spirit of impact that our Glocal citizens are continuing to engage in and impart on the world. And so this one is a flashback to December of 2022, when I had recently, I think early that spring, we connected at our alumni conference, our Stanford Black Alumni Conference. It made a great connection, and I just wanted to tell her story. And so here we are telling a new story. And the reason why this story is coming about, we're going to talk about it in the episode, but I'm just excited to welcome her back to the podcast. She has over 15 years of experience helping organizations and entrepreneurs achieve their visions through technology and process optimization. She specializes in strategies that drive sustainable growth and scalability with a passion for supporting diverse small businesses. She excels at turning visionary ideas into practical solutions, enabling success for her clients. Her dedication to innovation and inclusion continues to make a lasting impact in the business world. As the founder of Quality Works, she empowers visionary entrepreneurs to achieve their go-to-market goals through technology, AI, and an iterative release process. To welcome back to the podcast, Stacy Kirk. Welcome back.
Hello, I'm glad to be back.
Yes, indeed. It's so lovely to see you and to re-engage. And so I typically start with, I will start because we have some new listeners. So let's start with our first question, which is, where are you from? Where are you local? And what is your craft?
I am from a small town called Hurst, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I was raised. I have lived most of my adult life now in Southern California, Los Angeles, California, to be exact. And my craft is using technology to advance people and business and hopefully making an impact at the same time.
Mm-hmm. So you're in LA now. And so, the city has been devastated recently. And so just kind of take us through your LA, just the experience in the last few months or month or so, just kind of understanding your city in a new way and feeling it in a new way. How have the fires impacted you and your work at all?
Yeah, well, very scary times, even though I was blessed not to have my home burned down. There was a stage when we were getting alerts to say evacuation warnings, and some of those warnings were incorrectly sent out. Mm-hmm. But it was scary because once people that may have mental issues realized that California was so dry and so windy, there started to be warnings about people arsonists that were going to try to continue the fires. And so there were fires beyond the ones that were sparked in the Palisades and Altadena by arsonists. And the area that I live in, historically Black affluent neighborhood as well as Altadena, has some oil wells near it. And there was an evening where there was a report of a small fire. And, from that point on, they notify communities to be alert for people that would want to start fires. And so everyone in the city was anxious. My daughter's 2 best friends lost their homes. Some of our alumni, matter of fact, 3 to be exact, 2 in my class lost their homes. Some lost their pets, lost their animals. Some of them had horses. And so just the impact the thinking what it means to lose everything in a fire and not knowing if you will ever be able to rebuild and if it will be insured or will it be covered. And hearing the stories of our friends who were being told 6 years is
Wow.
likely for you to be back in your home.
Yeah.
It's just for a person like me, and that's like, how can I help? What can I do? It's just such a massive, massive need that I'm actually been in a kind of in a limbo state for most of the year, the month of January. I said the year of January. That's kind of the running January.
Right.
But now that we're in February, I've been prayerful of like, how can I, with the skill set that I have, be of impact? And I'm excited to kind of announce that we've joined forces with a powerhouse church in the Altadena area.
Oh, wonderful.
Who, day one, has started to help collect names of residents that were impacted, collect resources, and begin to match. But they were doing it all through Google Sheets, just love.
Manual, yeah.
Tears. And, they've received funding. And my organization, who works often with not-for-profit and social impact organizations, had a platform that we are now in the final stages of customizing so that we can continue to expand the 1,000 residents that need resources and all the people that want to give, and making that more efficient and making that targeted. Sometimes when it's kind of like first in, first out. Like someone calls you today and it's like, I need a bed, and someone calls you and says, I have a bed. There could have been someone that's been waiting weeks for a bed. And so this is, a more equitable, fair way. And so I'm just really happy that I'm able to use my craft and my organization, my company, to build this platform for fire relief care management. That's kind of the technical term.
Wow, I love that. So as you say that, let's remind our new listeners, tell us about your company. Tell us about Quality Works.
Yeah, so I started Quality Works in 2010 with a one employee, myself, with a passion for allowing organizations who rarely get experts in software quality to be on the ground. Most people don't realize in technology, you have software developers, the coders, and everyone knows, I can go up to be coders. Well, coders make a lot of mistakes. And there's another team of software testers that actually come in and use the code in the way that users use it. Because sometimes developers can't think of all of those ways. And so the testing team makes sure that the end product that people use doesn't have bugs. And we've all experienced glitches and bugs and hiccups and performance issues. And so my passion since college, one of my first internships was in software testing. But because I stayed in it for so long, and because of my experience being in Silicon Valley and doing computer science at Stanford, the work that Quality Works does is really cutting edge, automating all of the scenarios a user could go through an app with a few lines of code. So that's, where we started. For the last few years, we've continued to grow using AI to not just make sure that the software and technologies are getting out faster and have higher quality, but I realized we take on development projects because I'm a company of developers that do this testing. I realized the small projects that we've taken in had always been social impact. And so last year, I decided to make that a pivotal part of who we are as a company. We've done so many social impact projects through, we actually won Best in Business, Inc.'s Best in Business Award for the work that we did.
Yes, congrats.
With MD. So now Quality Works, 15 years later, has evolved into a company that leverages the latest technology, and that's AI, to quickly help organizations that would never have the $10 million budgets, but really have a $10 million problem. That's where we are today.
I love it. I love it. And so much has happened in the last couple of years. And you mentioned AI. So let's talk a little bit about AI and how you see that in terms of your developers, your software programmers, their skill sets. A lot of people are like, oh, there's AI is going to take out all coders and then there'll be nothing more. But where you're harnessing it to do your actual works, but where do you see it, and how have you incrementally brought it into your workflow?
We started using AI a couple of years ago, since you and I had our last conversation, but nothing prepared us for how fast generative AI has been able to advance our abilities to leverage it. In every aspect of my company, and my recommendation for everybody and every organization is to find ways to use it in every space.
Yep.
Of course, we use it to build code faster. We use it to test and generate our test scenarios. We use it to generate automation. But as a small business, I also use it to create and generate better articles, to be our copy editors, to generate images, and to be a brainstorming for some of our smaller teams. We get great reviews at Quality Works, but one of the challenges every small business has is if you have an HR department, if you have a marketing department, accounting department, they're usually department of one or department of two. And it's very lonely, and in terms of having the ability to advance your skill set, to have a thought leader, a thought partner. Like if you're at a big company, you'd be like, hey, I want to try something new. Let's talk about it. So for my departments outside of technology, I think their one wish was that they were bigger and that they had more people to talk to. And so I've told them to leverage AI as their partner. And I think it's given them ability to take their good ideas and have kind of a sounding board to kind of clean it up and make it better. And so it's very exciting, but it is also a little scary for many people. And my hope is that, based on my understanding and my team's understanding, is to help people adjust, because it is going to be an adjustment process. And I tell my clients, and some of the companies that we were working with, where now we have these agents, AI agents.
Yeah, right. The agents,
little humans. But I tell them, listen, you can't just replace humans with agents. Agents need management too. They still need direction, and so that's one of the areas where people that understand quality are best suited for that. And so that's kind of where we come in and help. We help organizations, but I got to tell you, my hope is that AI, the people that need the biggest support, I'll call it the underdogs, global underdogs.
Right.
As we know that as many of the developing countries around the world, I hope they take AI by the horns and just use it to be competitive. And that's kind of my push, is like, don't be scared. Like, it's jump. Like, I don't know if it's like a wild horse. It's a wild horse. You better jump on the back and hold on. If not, you're going to get trampled. So that's where we are.
Okay. I like that. And, I tell every young person that I interact with, I encourage them to make sure, my family members, to give yourself a crash course, get some education, something that helps you to understand AI. And what I've understood, and just my experience, it's gotten better, but the training for the needs of the people in the I don't want to say the global South, but in countries in Africa, across the diaspora, people of color, is that they can use it as tools. But then when it comes to those kind of interactions with thinking and having that perspective that is more localized to their experience, that's where we're seeing some deficits. So when you think about the next generation of AI for young people globally, how do you see us being able to train and get that data to the people that we need so that they have AI that better serves them, if that makes any sense?
Yeah, I mean, it all starts with using it. I mean, the world was rocked about a week and a half ago with the launch of DeepSeek, which let the world know, like, you don't have to be funded with you don't have to be $1 billion organization to be able to tap into the power of AI. But it requires, it requires data, and it requires the data of people that are using it and are guiding it and giving it information. And so we have to like urgently begin to use it, begin to download it. I mean, young people, and you know, part of one of the things that I've been trying to do, but it's very hard, is to work within the education system, because young people already know so much about this stuff. Like, it is where we're trying to be like, oh, we can do this. They just go for it.
Right.
And the teachers don't know that they already are miles past like the, you know, teachers like, oh, I'm going to make these tests a little harder so they can't use AI. Oh no, they can use AI. They can work around all of these different things. So let's change the game. Instead of saying, don't use AI, let's see how you take AI and use your own brilliance to make it better. It's kind of like, you got to learn math. You don't want to use a calculator.
Right. Yeah.
But I think where people are stuck is that, and, you know, my whole thought process around education in the last 5 years is changed. And, you know, I'm going to assume we both went to a very good school. To get to a school like that, you probably were taught to follow the rules, do your homework, listen in class. And that is the way to success. And if we look at the education system, it really hasn't changed since, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not
50,
a historian.
More than 50 years ago.
50 years,
yes.
It's been the same.
Exactly.
But the jobs have changed. The technologies have changed. And I think, you know, for those countries where, you know, and I'll say many countries that are colonized still have the colonized mindset that the right way is the British way or the European way. And one of the things that I love about Quality Works having an office in Jamaica, and where I think Quality Works has done so well, is that, as opposed to other like companies from America that go into developing countries, is like, I never wanted people to lose the entrepreneurial spirit that is core to many developing country citizens. Like, you don't have these big corporate jobs. You are your own boss. And it's that energy that people need to go deep into. Like, we don't have to have an education system based on European rules. Let's have an education system based on entrepreneurial spirit that has allowed us to survive and succeed. I think, I mean, it's very disruptive, but that's my wish for the world. Like, we need to be as disruptive as the job market will be in the next 5 years.
Yeah, I love that. And you're doing something about it. So I'm glad you opened that door with education. So tell us about your latest project, your latest partnership. Tell us about the Thrive Culture Box.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just the launch and how you came to get into this specific piece of the education scaffold.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we had an election in the United States. People may know how that went. And Dr. Andretta Lyles has been, you know, a friend of mine since college. Brilliant mind. I've had a chance to send my daughter to her Black Arts camp for a few years. And you know, in Los Angeles, the summer camp game is real. People start planning for it 6 months in advance. It's hard to get into camps. I've sent my daughter to a lot of camps, but there's something very special about being a Black child going to a Black celebration of culture camp and how you start and how you end. And I could see the confidence. I could see the joy. I could see her singing, lift every voice, and not just singing it because, hey, it's a song I know, but really understanding more about the beauty and the history of being Black American. And I just saw that Dr. Andretta had a gift of being able to give young children K through 6th grade a way to be inspired through their culture. And she had shared with me, you know, that her idea was to bring that to a more global stage, to be able to go from a summer camp in Los Angeles to something that was accessible to, so many Black and beyond children in America who are being miseducated every day or undereducated about the achievements of their culture. And part of Quality Works' transition into social impact was I gave my staff a challenge. I said, I want us to continue to do what we've done to help social impact organizations, knowing that they do not have the same budget. And we have worked on their project for months, and either they had to get lots of funding, which is hard to do, or we did the work and we took the cost on ourselves to donate our time. And I said, what if we can make it so that we can give them the ability to stand up their businesses or stand up solutions in 1 week? And the challenge was, I'm going to give you an idea and you've got 1 week to deliver something. And I flew in a client. I had all my team together. We in Jamaica, and we worked for a week to deliver a product in 5 days. And so once I felt comfortable that we could do that, I went to Dr. Andretta because I was pissed off at the results of the election. And I was like, let's stand up a company for you and let's do it in a week. And so from the election to December 10th, which is probably 2 weeks, we went from nothing to having a Shopify website, which not hard to do, but using tools and AI to help us with content generation, to help us with picture generation, all of that sped up the process to getting national attention, being featured in Black Enterprise. All that happened within 2 weeks. So she was kind of our prototype of what we can do when we leverage the power of the technologies that are out there that we can do within the budgets that we have. So very excited about her. The Los Angeles wildfire care management that I shared with you earlier is also going through that same process. And so I'm excited about what we're able to do for our community. Dr. Andretta has all these facts and research about what it does when a child understands and is proud of their culture and in terms of academic success. But even beyond just Black in America, we have a reading problem. We have a literacy problem across the country. And that is kind of big fish that I'm really excited that Dr. Andretta wants to go after. And so we are taking steps as we make sure we take care of our own and that they are getting the education. I mean, we're making partnerships and alliances through the South where they have, they're going after Black history in a major way. So once we take care of making sure that those students are not deprived of the education that they need, the next step is to go after literacy in America for all students. So more to come. I hope to be back in a few more years and change the game.
I'm so excited. As I may have mentioned, I've purchased boxes for my little nieces, and what's so encouraging about it is that there's a monthly subscription. So for families who want to engage, out of school time, which is one aspect, right? So you have kind of a few different client segments. So you have the families that are looking to do that enrichment, but then you also have the educators option. And so you're really building in those steps. So I'm just curious about the level of, because the first thing, I am also in the process of just looking at Pan-African education curriculum and how we change it, and we change it. And so delivering it in these types of packages is great. But then when we think about the self-serve of it, what are some of the things, like, are you thinking about some tutorials for how to kind of engage with it? So basically, like you said, changing education. So anybody can be an educator, not just the ones who said they went to the university and maybe got a great education, but maybe didn't. Is that part of the vision at all?
Yeah, absolutely. So Thrive Culture Box will, come with videos, and it's actually a community that is being built to continue to serve the families, the children, the educators. We were able to, and for Black History Month, that's one of the things we're partnering to go on site here in Southern California and hopefully share this. But we did a pop-up here in Los Angeles.
Oh, I love it.
Where we brought together just the cutest kids to not only use the Thrive Culture Box, but to get an education in the story from Dr. Andretta, which was recorded and will part of what will be available for those that subscribe. And so, I love that. I love that you're thinking that way. And honestly, Dr. Andretta is like, I just want to do videos and tutorials. And I said, you know what, I want to do something that's also not as digital. But those will be, the videos will be there as well. But we just want to make sure that our children, there's a serious addiction to screen
devices.
Time. And I just want, and I feel like that inhibits the ability to be creative sometimes. so being able to have things in their hands and, at the pop-up, seeing all these kids like coming up with their cities and they're designing and they're showing how they would do this and how they would do that with their hands and writing and drawing it was just beautiful to see. I was just like, I love the next generation. I mean, they were asking tough questions and so that's what we want to do. We want to kind of challenge them to get back to some of the basics of how do you create great things. And then, of course, yes, you may use AI to polish it up. Make sure at their base that they're not just sitting in front of a computer clicking on things all day.
Right. Exactly. So I typically ask the question about Glocal speak, that word Fraser's saying that's a meaningful part of your local experience and why or how you came to value this Glocal speak. But I want to ask you that in a different way. And so I want to ask you more about what is your industry speak. So what are you now speaking industry wise? What are words of Fraser sayings that are popping up all the time and that are inspiring, or they are inspiring enough to do positive or inspiring to do the counter, right? So how do we solutionscape around those things?
Oh, that's a great question. Let's see. Well, technology-wise, the word that I've been going around evangelizing as, well, there's two. One is human in the loop.
I like that.
So how will you be the human in the loop of all of this AI that is everywhere? As I was mentioning earlier, like, you can't just unleash AI and go home and go to sleep. There has to be someone that that understands, yes, this is good stuff, or no, this isn't good, and this is how we guide it to make sure that it delivers what it needs to be. AI will take out 10 jobs, but there will be one person that is critical,
right?
And people should figure out how they can be that one human in the loop. So that's one of the things that I'm sharing. And then for those that are really scared of AI, we are using the word bionic, becoming a bionic person. And I started looking up Bionic Man and Bionic Woman. That show is so old.
It is.
Like, I just don't want to date myself, but I love the show. I love the idea that you're in the accident, you go into a hospital, I give you all these bionic arms and legs, and then you just can do incredible things, right?
Yeah.
That was like I don't know if that was the 70s or
it was the 80s, 70s, 80s. Yeah.
And so we have the opportunity to be bionic as opposed to be replaced. And so, there's the human in the loop that can be the validator, the guider, but then there's the bionic person that can say, I'm going to write some great articles that get my mind, like my thought leadership and my ideas out there. But I don't have the time to go through and copy edit this and make sure all of the grammar is checked. That's going to take me a long time. Well, now you're bionic and you can put all your ideas out there, just ramble them out. And, I'm helping another company that is in disaster recovery. And you will find them on the ground of some of the worst hurricanes in American history, in tents, helping to rebuild neighborhoods. But that kind of person is not the best at telling their story in article form. And so I told the owner, you just get on your video, your voice memo on your phone and just talk. Just talk like you're talking to your homie and just say, man, you know what I did last week? I went to Katrina. I was on ground zero cleaning up and, building. And then I went here, and just talk like that, because what matters is that impact of what you did, not the words being all grammatically correct. Use your bionic arm, which is AI, to take that story and put it into the format that readers need to see to understand your worth. So
exactly.
Those are two.
That is great advice, because, those of us kind of who are in the media, that's what I do, right? I take notes all the time and they're transformed into a story. And, so that's great advice. I think it's human advice, and those are great. I love it. That's awesome. Okay. So you've kind of talked about mindset hacking. And so I want to kind of get a sense of where you're hacking your mindset. Maybe not so much in this workspace, but, it's been busy, a lot of heavy in your lifestyle space. What's new and exciting in your level of hacking your mindset?
Well, my new mindset is resting and repairing. And I know that I'm not alone. I think there is a group of people in this world that have been fighting a battle for a better world.
Yeah.
And it is tireless, it's thankless, you know what I mean? And last year for me was probably one of the hardest years of my life, because not only was I dealing with the changes of my organization in terms of size and direction as AI has started to go in and just totally destroy the tech world, and tech jobs and layoffs and all of that chaos. But I had some very severe illnesses and family members very close to me, very, very close. And all at the same time, 4 severe, potentially deadly illnesses. And so my superpower is I come in and solve problems. So I flew in with my cape and I solved a lot of, everyone's good this year, right? Almost everyone. Some can't solve, but it took me down to, it wore me down to pretty much exhaustion. And my mindset now is I've reconnected more back with the spiritual side that has gotten me where I am right now. And I understand that I don't have to kill myself. I don't have to work so hard. I have to do what I think God has gifted me with, which is the good heart and good relationships. And so I'm focused this year on resting and enjoying the relationships and the network that I have. And from that, everything else will be taken care of. And I've got to tell you, like, as we talk about like education and going to Stanford, and I don't want to say it's a lie, but I'm going to be bold and say the lies that we've been told is if you work hard, if you follow the rules, if you do well in school and you go to grad school and you do all of these things, you are in a meritocracy. You will be rewarded. And as a business owner, I will tell you, because people think because I'm Black and a woman, I just walk into any company and they just give me business because of DEI and all of these things. No, that is the exact opposite. It is the exact opposite. And I've been killing myself to try to prove that I am worthy. And what I realized is I don't need to do that, because the people that are in my network and my relationships that I have know that already. And they will promote me, they will lift me, they will bring business to me. And it's crazy since I've let go. In 2025, I said, I'm at the gym right now. As soon as I get to the podcast, I'm going to go get to the massage room.
I love it.
Right? But every week I have gotten new opportunities just because people know who I am. They know what I stand for. They know my moral compass. They know my work ethic. And I don't have to fight to try to prove to people that that I deserve a seat at the table. No, I don't want your table. I don't want your table. I have tables all around, and I'm going to leverage that. And I'm just hoping other people will see that there is a power in us not fighting to get a seat at someone else's table, because we have a table that we can build on. It's much better.
So well said. Thank you for that. Because it is. That is it. I'm that evangelist as well. Like, I'm really trying to get people to say, like, well, look, we can do this. We can do this.
We can do it. We can do it.
Yes.
And we've got to unite, and we've those voices in our head saying, I don't know if I can trust these people. I want to trust the Elon Musk and the people that have money, like, to really fight those urges to partner, because we can't do it individually. And we try to do it individually. Right. Because I believe there are some sneaky people, there are some dishonest people, but that's not been my experience. And I think people are more intuitive than they give themselves credit.
Right. Exactly. I think that's very well said. Okay. So our final stretch, we started to get on that wavelength with, the rest. So again, nowadays, who are you when you're not working? What are you reading? What are you watching? What are you listening to? What are you playing? Who is Stacy now in her off the clock time?
Oh, wow. Okay. Now I got to sound like I have a life. Hold on here. Oh, man. All right. Well, I'm reading a really good book by a gentleman called Dr. Comeback Fordham. it's a really incredible book about a man that had a lot of success through his early life, from being a kind of a well-known rapper to a basketball star to a filmmaker to a screenwriter, a tech entrepreneur, and had something very tragic happen in his life and ended up in prison, and now is out and is using his platform to let people know that there is a way forward. And so I feel like it's a really inspiring story. I'm really into hearing people's stories of their personal lives. And so that's my favorite type of book, because sometimes we think we're the only ones going through it, and we're not.
Yeah.
And other than that, I'm a mother, and I'm happy since the last conversation. I now have a son at Howard University as a freshman.
Nice. Go Bison.
Go Bison. I've got to do my HU, I got to get that right. I have a daughter who's a teenage daughter, which is always a very interesting, exciting thing. And she's very much like me. So we butt heads, but she is like, if I'm version 1.0, she's like 5.0, you know?
Wow.
So it is, I feel like watching someone that is going to be just an amazing soul, great contribution to this world. But just unharnessed again, trying to keep her on focus is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so I've got my records from my father gave me all of his old records, and I got a record player. I've just been listening to all the oldies, 60s and 70s, and taking care of my body, getting physically fit. And I'm ready to get back on the road. Hopefully I'll get to parts of the world that I haven't traveled and just explore just all that the world has to give. And, America's just not the most popular place to be right now. So I am, I am looking to get a lot of stamps in my passport. That's where I'm.
Yeah, I love it. We love that. Thank you so much, Stacy. I really appreciate your time. And so as we sign off for today, do you have any last thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners?
Well, one thing that I believe you brought up a couple of years ago, and you asked me a question I don't think anyone ever asked me. And I think you had asked me about what happened in my childhood that was the most pivotal to, does that sound familiar? Is that a question you asked? Most pivotal to your life? It was the first time that I really thought about what happened in my childhood that, it's kind of like you took me to therapy, right? And so I realized that the most pivotal thing in my childhood was being betrayed, being betrayed by the people that were running my school, that told me you're smart and you're great, but we're not gonna help you. And I got to tell you, that was a pivotal moment in my life to prepare for the world that we're going into now.
Yeah.
And I thank you for helping me to see that. And I think the note for everyone else is that, there are these things that happen in your life, and at the time they are so horrific, but I've got to tell you, they are also what prepares you for the fight of the future. You know what I mean? And
absolutely.
I'm so thankful for that. I'm thankful for you to remind me of that. And when people are like, I can't believe they're doing this and I'm doing that, I go to that moment of that betrayal and that remembrance of how that happened, but I didn't allow it to take me under. And so I appreciate that you pull that out of people in your podcast. And I wish for everyone to have an opportunity to really reflect and see what inside of them is what makes them the fighter they need to be in the future. So.
I love that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Woo, this is why going back is a great thing. We love to hear where they are now and just to kind of get that feedback. So thank you so much, Stacy. All right, Glocal citizens, that's going to do it for this Where Are They Now episode of the podcast. You can catch us Tuesdays with new episodes at glocalcitizenspod.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Please do like, share, subscribe, leave us a review. We love to hear from you, and it helps others find great content on the internet. And be sure to check the show notes and flash back to Stacy's first episode. And I think this conversation really helps to highlight the idea of a borderless mindset and manifesting a new world. We are at a crux, folks, in this human evolution. And I just love bringing stories about people who are doing that. So until next time, bye for now.